Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today we got to talk about something that's actually incredibly serious. YouTuber, somebody that I've made video responses to in the past, Hunter Avallone or Avallone. I know people always ding me on the pronunciation of it, but I always forget which way it's supposed to go. Was in his apartment when the ex-boyfriend of his current girlfriend, from what I can tell, showed up with a shotgun, wounded his girlfriend, and attempted to kill the both of them, or just Hunter, whatever you want to say. I don't know what the motivation is precisely, but based on the text messages, it seems like he was going after Hunter. And for some reason, a lot of people on the internet.com are not treating this with the seriousness that it actually demands. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to say thank you to everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform. So on December 8th of this year, I was actually going to a relative's home for their birthday. I had gotten them a cake and all of that. I go onto Twitter and I come across this video. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much I can show you, but what I can say is that it had a caption from Hunter Avallone. I read the caption. However, I didn't actually understand or process the fact that he was the person in this video that was facing a gunman in this video that was posted on Twitter until I actually heard his voice in that video. Now, I will link it in full for you guys to watch it. I will say, even though there is blood all over the place, the actual wound is blurred, so it's not particularly graphic. However, they have since subsequently posted more graphic photos of the wound that this woman, Holly, had experienced, and this story is absolutely insane and, of course, tragic, because ultimately this led to the gunman in this instance taking his own life when he was finally confronted by police. Now, for some reason, because I've made video responses to Hunter in the past, because I have been critical of his political positions, of the way he presents his political positions and whatnot, a lot of people are expecting me to make fun of this situation, just like a lot of people expected me to make fun of the divorce that he was going through. But the thing is, I'm not trying to personally destroy anybody that I'm making video responses to, and divorce is always tragic, and in that particular instance, I gave credit where credit was due to Hunter because he had an unplanned pregnancy. He tried to make it work. He ended up having another kid, and unfortunately, that situation led to divorce. Now, that tragedy ends up leading to him being back on the dating market, and what a crappy set of circumstances that one of the people that he actually starts dating, that he's starting to get to know, and all of that, ends up having an ex-boyfriend who is borderline psychopathic, or maybe over that line of psychopathic, since he did try to kill him, and he did shoot her, and ultimately ended up taking his life, and now he found himself in this particular situation. But apparently there's a lot of background. I went on this New York Post article, which, by the way, the New York Post actually reached out to Hunter for comment, and did not receive comment, so we can actually take some of this with a grain of salt. And apparently the girl in this situation, Holly, who's actually Holly J from Degrassi, don't worry about how I even know what that reference is, was dating this person called Conrad for 11 years. They had broken up maybe a month ago, although they said that there was some dating between Hunter and this girl 2 weeks ago. Some people have speculated, and by the way, to be clear, I do not care that Hunter started seeing this girl before they officially broke up, but whatever, that is the speculation. It is being denied, and considering this Conrad person decided to attempt murder, I'm not really sympathetic to his argument on what drove him over the edge in any regard anyway. So even if that is true, even if that turns out to be revealed to be something that happened, it doesn't justify murder, it doesn't justify attempted murder, so yeah, I'm not going to be in favor of the criminal in that regard, but that is some of the speculation that is around. Regardless of that, they end up in a situation where he's obviously angry. There are messages between him and Hunter. Those messages are super sketch and very ominous, especially since we know what happened. However, on Holly's Twitter, after this whole thing broke down, because I had actually no context for who this person was, a couple of days before this particular incident, she actually posted probably the most ominous tweet of all time from December 3rd, 5 days before the Hunter video was uploaded. Abuse always always escalates once you leave, and then there's like a crying sad face. I just found that Conrad put AirTags in my stuff to track my location. This is not all caps, okay? Feeling violated. Now, if you guys are completely unaware, Apple AirTags are like little GPS things. You're supposed to use them to find your keys or other things that you put them in with. And apparently, again, this is 5 days before, these were found in Holly's stuff after she had moved out or moved away from this particular boyfriend, and this might have actually been the key piece of GPS information that he used in order to track Hunter and her location. Now look, for everybody out there in the audience, you should be able to understand this. You don't have to be a YouTuber or any kind of public figure to get this, that this is incredibly scary. If you are in a situation where you have to leave an ex, whether abusive or not, and obviously Holly is alleging abuse, and by the way, considering this guy committed attempted murder, I would say that's probably a solid allegation in my opinion. I don't have absolute evidence of previous abuse, but the attempted murder kind of seals the deal for me. This is horrible. You try to get away, and then this person is going out of their way to attempt to track you. Now, if you are a public person and you're trying to keep your location private, like I assume a Hunter would want to do, like I would assume that Holly would want to do, this is even more scary because a lot of times you end up in these kind of situations, and a lot of content creators have ended up in these situations with randoms out there that want to take revenge on them or that love them in an obsessive way. So this is doubly scary from a content creator point of view. The last thing you want is for people to find your home address, find your location. We've seen time after time when people do IRL streams that people show up to try to fight them, people show up to try to rob them. So overall, this is an incredible disaster, and honestly, I genuinely don't understand people in the content creation space that cannot see past I dislike Hunter Avallone's political takes to the point where they're rooting this particular person on. No way I'm going to be on this person's side. And I got news for you. There are a lot of people in the conservative space, thankfully so far, not me, but a lot of people in the conservative space that experience these kind of situations, equally scary situations, equally dangerous situations. So it's not something that you should be rooting on if you are out there in the audience. Now, there's also a local news article from Metro News that says Martinsburg police are still trying to find out the identity of a man who struck a female with a firearm before taking his own life. Now, to be clear, he has been identified as Conrad. I don't know who that is. He may be a content creator or something like that. I have no clue, but police say it happened at a residence in Martinsburg on Friday just before 12:30 p.m. Officers made contact with the armed suspect as he attempted to break in a door inside an apartment while continuing to fire his weapon. There was a brief exchange of gunfire between officers and the man, and he eventually decided that there was no way out for him, and he ended up taking his own life. Now, what's crazy about this video is you can actually hear this altercation between officers on the video. You can hear a female officer say, show me your hands repeatedly, and then there is back and forth gunfire, but apparently this back and forth gunfire is not what ultimately ended up resulting in the death of this individual. There was a break in the fire where he decided that he was going to give up, and at that point in time, he took his own life. And there's actually a very heartbreaking video that was uploaded by Holly on her own Twitter. It might have been on Instagram as well, but I don't know her Instagram, where she talks about how this man that she cared about for 11 years, she ended up seeing him in the state where he was dead on the hallway floor, because remember, she was wounded, she had to be taken to the hospital, so she had to pass through this particular area in order to get the treatment that she needed. Now, thankfully, she is on her way to a speedy recovery. There is a GoFundMe for her. I will link that in the description if any of you guys want to donate for her medical bills or anything like that. A lot of times, Twitchers and YouTubers don't have medical insurance, so this might be a situation where your help is desperately needed. But yeah, this is a total disaster in every way, and honestly, I thought that Hunter was a gun owner based on the fact that he's somebody from in and around the Virginia area. They typically have easier laws that allow people to own firearms, and Hunter used to be a conservative, but apparently Hunter was never one personally for private gun ownership. Now look, the point of this video is not for me to advocate in any way for any political position. I'm not here to say that this is a story where you need the the Second Amendment, because thankfully this guy was not able to get through the final door that would have led him to Hunter and Holly, where he could have killed either one of them. But this is a situation where one might consider firearm ownership. Although in this particular situation, Hunter was very lucky that the police response was quick and was timely, and they were able to at least deter the threat to the point where the threat neutralized himself. That being said, I think he's reconsidering it. I would if I were in his position, especially considering all these news reports that give his general area and whatnot. This is something that I would want to defend against. I would also consider definitely moving to a different apartment, because this is a disaster in every possible way, and Hunter has unfortunately more enemies than this particular individual. Now, there is also another narrative around this, that Hunter was somehow unmasculine in this particular situation, that he should have confronted this guy, like Hunter needed to get into a karate battle with this individual. And I just want to point out, which should be obvious to everybody, that life is not a movie. I know we see a lot of these people that are able to disarm multiple gunmen without any issue. People expect you to pull Batman-like maneuvers, but let's be honest, if you have no firearm to defend yourself, getting into this confrontation doesn't make any sense. And even if you do have your own firearm, you should probably take a defensive position in that particular scenario. And at the moment of the breach, that's when you would use your firearm in order to defend yourself from the person who came there to murder you. I don't quite understand why people are so desperate for a win over Hunter that they have to say, oh, well, you didn't kill the guy yourself, Hunter, with your bare hands. You didn't go Rambo, take out a kitchen knife and go slice him up like pew pew pew, and supposedly that makes you less of a man. I think that's ridiculous and absurd. Life is not a movie, and I would not expect somebody in his scenario completely unarmed to engage in that particular way. Also, some people are saying he hid behind his girl and that's how she got wounded. Remember, and by the way, this is also according to some of the reports, this guy came with the shotgun hidden. She knew who this person was. There is a chance that in the initial encounter, she approached the door or approached closer, and that put her in a position to be wounded before they actually knew the gravity of the threat. Again, just think about it not as somebody that you're politically opposed to, that you think is deserving of it because he has a lot of not great political positions, if that makes it easier for you, and just go through it logically in your brain and understand we were dealing with a stalker situation, a dangerous ex situation. And by the way, considering the air tags and all that, considering the allegations of abuse, it is yet another mark against the criminal justice system that somebody who would do something like this, particularly to track you, as was revealed in the December 3rd post, is not really facing any criminal consequences before that, and now it led to a situation where two people's lives were threatened, an innocent girl was actually wounded, and the guy behind all this was actually killed. There is every chance in the world, if the police were able to intercede earlier, that this person could have gotten some help, he could have been talked down, and this whole situation could have never arisen. Maybe you even get a restraining order. I don't know if that was even on the table before or not, but something in order to deter this from happening, because obviously this is the second worst outcome. The first worst outcome would be that the innocent people in their home would be killed, but now you have a situation where somebody is dead over something that there were obvious signs of leading to it that should have been worked out and sorted out by the police much, much earlier. So yeah, while I do understand a lot of people leaving me comments on my previous videos, tweeting at me, some of you sending me DMs, asking me to cover this particular story, I think it's pretty obvious to the long-term viewer of this channel, people who really have a good assessment of who I am and how I think about things, where I was going to come down on this particular issue. And honestly, for people out there in the audience who find this to be entertainment and all that, I don't even think those people in particular are uniquely bad or anything like that. And for the small minority of people who are rooting on the Conrad guy, because yes, I've seen your comments, yes, I've seen your tweets, I honestly genuinely believe that that has to do more with the separation of sometimes between people in the comments and people who are on this side of the camera. Now look, I don't want to take anything away from those of you who are genuinely, legitimately bad people and actually evil, but I think some people get invested a lot in the online content space and all that, and their bad takes or their horrible takes or even their jokes that might get misinterpreted are more rooted in that than them actually being the even smaller minority of legitimately evil and messed up people. But that's just my opinion on this whole situation. Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm not going to pose a question on whose side you're particularly on or anything like that, but as you guys know, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about this crazy, messed up Hunter Avallone situation. Till next time.